Yeah, I'm on my live. I'm on my live. Just waiting for folks to show up. Give it some time to come in. Mhm. Just getting warmed all up. Anybody is there, say hello. Just wait until you start coming in. Say hello so I can see who is here, please. Thank you. So I can give you a shout out too. I'm just good. Normally try to give it about a few minutes before I jump into the topic. Today's topic is about bullying and why does it still exist in adulthood? Ooh-wee. Hey Mish. Hey Mish. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Wednesday, girl. That's what I like about Wednesdays. The day is the week, I should say, is almost at the end. Like, woo. So, because I definitely want to hear your thoughts tonight, because we're talking about bullying and adulthood, but we're talking about also from youth and on up. Like, it's all kind of bullying. It's just like out of control. So, that's what the topic is tonight. hmm While we're here, and it's just you and I for the time being, I think some others may be coming in. Have you had any bullying issues with your kids at school or anything like that? I know probably as a kid, um, you probably had some stuff, but as a mom of what, five, has your kids experienced any bullying in school? Hey, cuz, hey, Larisha, thanks for coming in. I was just asking Misha, if she has to deal with any, bullying with her kids um, in schools. How about you? Have you guys had to go through that whole thing? If so, like what is going on? And also, please remember to share the live out too for me on your pages. Thank you. Yeah, I had I can't say that I really had a lot with Destiny in Paris. Maybe Destiny had some issues with some people, but I think her sisters went to her school by the time she had those issues, so that kind of got nipped in the bud really quick. And then the normal stuff when a guy gets involved, that type of um, bullying that goes on. But I think Janae, my youngest, she did have some bullying issues at her school that we had to try to get under wraps. But she's a tough kid too. Like so she didn't really play a lot with people, but they still were bullying her. So hey, thanks whoever else is coming in. For whatever reason, I can't see you guys. So if you make a comment, then I can see you and I'll give you a shout out. Hey, Shaya, what's up? No, Shaya. Yes. And we're talking about bullying, our Shaya, and I'm talking about why does this still exist in adulthood. But first, we're going to start at childhood. So I'm asking the others on the panel, have their kids experienced racism? Lord, that's another topic coming up later. But if they have experienced bullying, so they're telling us now, they're sharing their stories. But Misha says, yes, my littles go through it from time to time. I'm training them to stand up for themselves. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I think with your kids being the kind of close to age, they also have each other back too in school. Where so say like me, it was just me, and then I think my sister is 6 years apart, and then my youngest sister is like 11 years apart. So I really didn't have anybody to have my back. So I kind of had to go through this thing where I had to like learn how to defend myself or speak up for myself. In that way to a certain point, because when I got to high school, my friends kind of like, had my back. Yeah, Shay, because I know your daughter went through something. I feel like that was bullying because I felt like that girl was hating on her and harassing her, but Jasmine had to hold her own, in which she did very, very well. But I feel like it didn't even have to get to that point, and I feel like sometimes I hope you guys can hear me clearly and understand me, because as y'all see, I got these wires in my mouth. As a matter of fact, why I brought that up is when I was a kid, I had braces for a little while. Yeah, I got teased about, how cruel kids can be about having the braces. And then I had the Jerry curl and glasses, y'all. It was a hot mess. But whatever, I expect some things from kids, but like these days, I think it's a little, rougher. And especially with having, my grandson, I get very, very, because kids are on a whole nother level with it these days with this bullying. They take it to extreme. We have social media and all that other stuff for them to go post on. Maybe not so much Rome's age, but the teenagers' years. They have a lot of bullying and stuff going on there. So it's just like how to protect your kid against that, because just having things posted online, and it just goes so far in your life, and then like they say, it never leaves. So so that's just what we're going to be talking about tonight. I do want to get back to Rome being 7 years old, right? So there's no social media, I guess, really. I don't know if kids, I don't think they're allowed to have cell phones in elementary school, but I want to say Skylar had to be, my youngest, she had to be about, I want to say she was like 6 or 7. She was Rome's age, and someone had a cell phone on the bus, and a kid who was like 10 years old slapped her while because she'll fall asleep anywhere, and I've been trying to tell her, you can't fall asleep around everybody. Yeah, Mish, they are very cool. So she fell asleep, and this kid ended up putting his hands on her, and then while that happened, another kid was videoing it. So it was like extra, and we went to the school, but it was like the end, it was like the last day of school. So then they want to protect the kids. They don't want to tell you who the kid was. So we were like, who is this kid? I want to talk to his parents, Misa, but you're right. The parents do not teach them. And I think a lot of these parents are either bullies at home themselves, or they're just like that. They're just, they're bullies to the kids, or they're teaching the kids how to be a bully because they don't want the kid to be a victim. I don't know. So they teach them the wrong things, and then they come and mess with other little kids that's just minding their business or that are very quiet. I feel like when you're quiet, they don't, they like to center themselves on you. Yeah, I don't like that either. And I get that they're trying to protect certain, things from happening, but don't wait till it's too late and then that kid retaliates, and then you're like, oh, this child was violent and they went too far, and they should, but you didn't went and told the teacher, And I always think about that. I don't even remember the Tyler Perry movie, but they had Medea, I think it was Keke Palmer, was the kid that she adopted, and she was staying there with her, and they went to the bus stop, and because the boy on the bus, was picking with her. So Medea went up there, and it was funny because she was like, she roughed the kid up and stuff like that. However, like that happens in real life because parents, you get tired of people keep messing with your kids. And if the school's not going to do nothing, the bus driver not going to do it, it's just too much stuff going on. And so then parents, take things in their own hands, and then they're like, oh, you went too far because it was kids. Look, I always feel like it's my kid or yours, at the end of the day. And I don't care. If I got to be locked up, then I got to be locked up, but you're not going to keep messing with my kid, So Chad said yes, because if they don't fix it, I'm going to come for the school and the parents. Yeah. Especially when your kids get old enough, you can find out who the parent was. Like, I'm going to find out who is little Johnny or Ray Ray's parent. What's the mother name? We can find her on social media. It's real simple because you're not going to keep on picking on my kid every day coming up in here and nobody's doing anything. So, that's true too. A lot. Shan said half the parents are close in age with the kids, and they condone the foolishness because they're immature. Yeah, you see it on like these videos of the kids in school, how they talk to the teachers. Now, mind you, yeah, some teachers can just be doing a whole lot of extra and a little out of line, but at the same time, these kids are real disrespectful, and they try to bully the teachers. So I remember we were, I don't know if it was a shutdown. I think it was that first shutdown. I think that was in 2019. And we had to find something else. Because that shutdown was going on forever. So they were like, the schools needed substitute teachers. So I was like, okay. And I'm like, I hope I get some elementary students, because I didn't want no high school kids. Because I already know it ain't gonna be cool with us working with each other. And you got a smart mouth as a kid, Yeah, it's always the mama in some mess, the teacher, then they have to call in and talk to the parents, and the parents, getting rowdy with them and wanting to fight them and stuff. And then you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I see why, she's this way, because the mother is this way. This is what, or the father is this way. This is where they get it from, So, yeah, sure. Shan said kids are not off limits for her. And she said, I'm sorry, you want to act grown, let's get it. Yes, listen, because I always say, you either teach your kids at home or they're going to learn out in the street. And now the street may be in the schoolyard, so by somebody else's parent. So leave people kids alone, you don't have no problem. Yeah, absolutely. I just seen a video where it was a girl in the park with some of her friends. And this parent came over. Apparently her kid was saying some racist stuff to them. And, the girl that was talking was a black girl. And so she was like, I guess she told the kid go somewhere, whatever. With the mama, she decided to come over, y'all, and approach this little girl. And the girl kind of handled her, pretty well. But I was like, who are you to roll up on this girl when your son was over here bullying, her? And you trying to come step to this child. See, if that was my child and she came home and got me and I had to come up there, yeah, because what are you doing? Doing the most. And back in the day, because the girl did have some other friends there at the time, that lady probably would have got hopped on real quick, because why are you stepping to a kid and getting in the kid's face, and your son was over here, bullying her or whatever. So, but I did see a story. Also, of course, we get a lot of our news and stories from social media. And they had a young girl, I want to say she was like 8 or 9, and she was being bullied. And the kid, those Stanley cups, everybody wanted those Stanley cups, those big Stanley cups. They're like this big, they're metal, insulated or whatever, keep your stuff cold, hot, whatever. So her bully hit her in the head, and she sadly hit her in the head so hard that it caused like a brain bleed or something, and the girl passed away. She passed away. But I'm like, why did it even get to this point? Like, had it been ongoing bullying, what? Because to feel like that person who took that Stanley Cup, they were just a little bit, that kid, they were just a little too free to feel like they could take that step. And then we can get into the whole, part of them being charged. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't took somebody's life with a Stanley Cup, and then I bet you they go, oh, she didn't know, or she's a kid, and just like, I don't even want to hear that kid stuff at that point. I don't want to hear that kid stuff, because you went out here, you did this to this other kid just for the sake of wanting to do it. You know, it was absolutely no point in doing that, to that kid. And now the kid life is gone. It's these people that lost their child and over a Stanley Cup, or because but I notice it seems like, I feel like some of those kids that were bullies, like they did not learn their lesson, and then they grow up and then they're still bullies in adulthood. I think probably sometimes people who were bullied, maybe they possibly could grow up and also be bullies. I mean, but I don't know what the percentage is of that, but I do know some of these kids that were bullies as kids, they grew up and they continue to be bullied because nobody stopped them. Nobody stopped them. They just kept letting them, they just kept getting away with it. They kept being coddled and stuff, and they kept getting away with it. But every dog has his day, as they say. So I don't get, you an old man and you still out here bullying, and something go down, that's your fault, because you never learned from when you were a kid. So I think, parents definitely should be, contacting the school and going up to the school and all that. And it's hard because, especially if you're a single parent, you got to get off work. Or even if you're married, you got to get off work. Or then, being a woman, you may not feel like they listening to you. So then you go get your husband and he got to come up there, and he mad, and then they like, Mr. Calm down, and it just turned into something else. Somebody was getting aggressive. But I feel like you got to get aggressive for your kids, And I seen a whole entire cases. It was just, tons of cases of parents like who got fed up, and now they got charges, and they have their mugshot, and the parents is just like in the mugshot, like they don't look like wore out, they don't look messed up, hair all over their face or any of that. They're just sitting there like, yep, I did it and I will do it again. Because when it comes to my kids, I'm gonna go to jail for them every time. So I definitely think that something needs to be done. So of course we have this whole thing, I think, also with young teens getting into relationships, right? I was like 13. I'm not saying we were being intimate at that age, because I think it does happen differently for each kid, but you got to talk to your kids about even just sending pictures to each other, right? Pictures without clothes on. Trying to make sure I'm using the right words for social media. But, people want to exchange explicit photos, and you're a teenager. If your kid is caught or with that type of material on the phone, and a lot of people may not even know that, but it's a crime. It's you having what is it called, child pornography, and they can be charged. Even though they are a child, they could get in trouble for having that on their phone. So you have to talk to your kids about that. You're not of age, don't take these pictures and stuff like that. Now what I have seen is on the phone, I have an iPhone. I'm not sure how the other phones work, but I don't know. I sent something. It wasn't even sexy explicit, but it involved some skin. Okay. So they're like, oh, are you sure, you want to upload this picture? Do you feel safe? And it's like a little warning. I was like, oh, this is new, or if not, I think it had like a phone call or a text this number or something like this, or somebody making you do this, because it's gotten so out of hand with this sex trafficking and things like that for the kids. And so the kids have this in their phone, and their phone gets taken from school, and somebody goes in that phone, and that's on your kid's phone, girl, boy, whatever, you get in trouble. So let me read a comment from Misha Daniel. She said, I had an issue with a little girl in my neighborhood. I was inside making dinner. The mother and some girls was waiting outside of my door with her daughter, like waiting on justice to come out. instead of knocking on my door and letting me know it was an issue. Girl, you know it went down after that happened because she well, I'm waiting on my 6-year-old daughter to come out. Yeah, like 6. Just think about that. 6. This is happening with 6-year-olds. I'm thinking, because of course, I get you and our Risha's kids mixed up, so I don't know how old who is, with the kids. But 6, like, are you serious? And the mother, like, come on, like serious. So, Serena said the picture that was sent was blurry on her end, but that's real smart technology. Yeah, they're trying to, they trying to make sure ain't nobody seeing nothing. I said, well, good gracious. Yeah, Misha said to fight. She was waiting for them to fight. You're encouraging it. Like, come on. And I know, I want to say Tajon's cousins, very, very beautiful girls. And they were, I want to say, in the teens. And I was talking to their mom, and she was like, yeah, my girls always had somebody trying to fight them. And I'm like, why were they trying to fight them? Because to me, her girls were like the sweetest girls. I mean, and they're beautiful girls. So that's basically what it came down to, jealousy, right? And then the girls were spoiled in the way that their dad bought them a lot of name brand things, and whatnot, And so the girls in school, they're seeing this. They're like, oh, they think they look good. They think they're all of that. You know how that whole thing. So now they want to test them. And, and I guess it's the whole pretty girl thing. You got to prove yourself, to these people messing with you, because you look good, I don't think I ever had that problem. I think maybe when I got a little older, I had some, some stuff like that going on, probably, my adult life, but by that time I was about that life. So I didn't give a care. I was more of a quiet person for the most part in elementary. I was just chilling because I was getting bullied. And then I would get upset and I would come home to my mom. And, people would be like, your mama this, your mama that. Because my mom was, like 5 something. She was short and round. And y'all talking about my mom was fat. And I was upset, and whatnot. And then my mom was just like, sometimes people be jealous of you and they be jealous. And I'd be like, jealous of what? What are they jealous of over here, But you never know what somebody can be jealous of. You don't know what they're seeing that you may not see. So that's where the jealousy comes in. And then so they want to tease you. They want to pick on you. And I remember this girl that used to tease me, y'all. And now, like, when I grew up and I look back, and I was like, she looked like a bulldog. Like, she was a hot freaking mess. But at the time I was being bullied, like, I didn't see that, Hi, Keisha. Yes, these parents be ratchet. They're very, very ratchet. Serena, you're right. Fighting is all some people know. They lack the intelligence to handle things any other way. You're right, and then they just take out, like, you don't know what's going on in their household, how they were raised. And so what they do is they come out in the world and they just take things out on other people, So Misha says, the thing is she would reach out to the mother when the girls had issues, but this day she was waiting on my baby to come out and fight. Yeah. And so Misha here she's one of them parents that's definitely about that life, and she ain't playing. So I know that she got that taken care of, but that mom that's trying to get this stuff started, like, she's wrong. Now, what if something went, backwards, but you didn't came to my house, you know what I mean? And so I think they had a girl who just had, some people roll up in her house. Maybe it was a couple of years ago, but trying to fight her. And she's like, my kid's here. And the girl was like, because she had cameras in her house. And the girl yelled back that she was like, I don't give a care about your kids being here. So sis turned her light off. They didn't got up in her house and she had a pew-pew. So that's what happened. And you just hear her say, oh my God, I got pew-pewed. And the girl started laughing. She said, you're right. But it's like the audacity of you to feel like you could just bully your way into this girl's house to fight her and her kids is there. And just don't care. Like my kids are in the house. So it's between me or that got to shook my whole thing. I'm here shaking the table. It's between me and my kids. It's gonna be you. I mean, you and my kids. It's definitely gonna be you. It ain't gonna be my kids, and it definitely ain't gonna be me. And so Serena said she got bullied because I'm fat, and it was mostly from boys. So listen, if you was too fat, or if you fat, they're gonna bully you. Because you know what? They ain't got nothing else to talk about. Right? Then if you're skinny and you're too bony, they talk about that, eat a sandwich. It's like they always try to find something to talk about. You can't win, and that's another thing. Like, if you don't have a certain look, then you're not considered cool, right? So with me growing up, like my parents had to take care of my sisters. If I wanted like name brand things, or if I wanted certain, things that other kids probably just easily got, like I had to get it myself because my parents didn't have the money. Were we poor? I won't say that, but as long as we was clean and neat, and that's what mattered. And even to this day, like I'm not hell bent on having expensive things to show off or to be flashy or be like, I got this and I got that, because it doesn't mean that it's not that important for me, but other people is important. And that's why you got people robbing people for a certain coat they have and certain shoes they have and, things like that. So a lot of this stuff starts, from you. So Lakeisha said that bullying just rejects attention from that person. They want to pick on someone so nobody will notice them and try to turn many people on you. Yeah. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Misha says she bullies. Misha, so when I was a kid, there was this kid, and may he rest in peace, his name is Thomas. But when Thomas, he was younger than me at the time, but I just always had a protective, type spirit that I looked out for the other person. And so I was like, nah, y'all ain't gonna keep on bullying this kid. And so I would walk past where I was supposed to be going and go walk him home to defend him so nobody else wouldn't bother him. Now, I don't know at 5 what I thought I was supposed to do, but they didn't mess with him when I was there, so it worked, right? And I would get in trouble, and they were like, why do you keep on going past Miss Martin house and going way up the street, and you're a little kid? And I'm like, because they keep bullying him. And they're like, well, what about you? And I'm like, I'm fine. They ain't messing with me, But, different times, But now, I would not want my kid to probably do that. I wouldn't want Rome to walk with another kid because it's just too much stuff going on. Kids be having weapons and, all that other stuff to fight back and things like that. I mean, I'm talking about the bullies. They come with this stuff ready, to fight. And I'm looking at Keisha and Serena. I don't know. I think it was a movie called Sometimes They Come Back. And, it was like one of those Stephen King movies, but it was really, really based on, the bullying thing. And one of the guys, his brother lost his life, with bullying, and he felt like he couldn't do anything about it. And then it just really, really haunted him. And in the movie, his brother, he sees his ghost and all of that. He's like, you were just a kid. Like, what were you supposed to do? You were a kid, and I hate that kids feel like that, or in that type of position where they feel like they have to do that. And then you have to have people that try to protect other kids, because these kids are, the schools are not doing anything. Nobody's doing anything. The bus drivers, everybody is like, they have like tunnel vision, if it ain't about them, if it don't have nothing to do with them, they don't want nothing to do with it. They don't want to intervene. Everybody want to mind their business. But not when it comes to kids. No, you need to speak up. Oh, Lakeisha, yeah. I thought you at least watched that, but I guess she didn't watch it. Somebody watched it with me. Or I was watching it by myself and on y'all. But yeah, so it's just like always, like I watch these movies and they used to always have these after school specials back in the day. And you come home and you want to watch the after school special, and it's supposed to tell you about bullying, just any type of, after school stuff or things that go on in school. And you sit and you watch it. And like, I would love to like rewatch some of those just to see how much things have changed now. And I noticed that they don't do those shows anymore. I mean, that's just like on Lifetime. They need to do that. They need to bring them shows back. They're talking about bringing prayer back in school. Do something, because it's really, really off the hook now. And, and it's not until a kid gets upset and fed up and then they bring a weapon and they use that weapon against their bully, then they're upset at the person who was the victim of the bullying. And it's like, well, everybody has a breaking point. So do you think that they're just not going to break one day? Yeah. Then they want to, Misha, but we see that, like I said, why does bullying still exist in adulthood? There's so many videos where somebody is minding their business and here comes Billy Bob or, Ray Ray or whoever, right? And they picking on somebody. I literally seen this one video, and I probably shared it because it cracked me up so much, because the man is sitting here bullying this lady, y'all. He's bullying the lady. And what's funny about it is, while he's bullying her, he's talking trash, and he starts talking, girl, why his teeth fall out? Like, it fell out and it hit the ground. Like, you see them go, and they come and they fall on the ground under the car. And I'm like, I know you was not out here in this lady's face bullying her with loose teeth. Like, you don't even have no grip on your, but you want to talk about somebody else? You want to pick on somebody else, And I think that, it's that type of stuff. And even in adulthood, they're still doing the same thing. Like I've been in like Facebook groups, right? So social media came. I used to always be a person who liked to debate and all that stuff. So that was just something that was very, very entertaining to me, So, hey, Job. So Jocelyn was in, Jocelyn and Arshia actually were in Facebook groups with me. So they already know how I was in these groups, okay? But like I said, I have been accused of being a bully, but I felt like, and Doc, you're welcome to disagree, I felt like people was messing with me. So you mess with me, then you're going to get it right back. And then I'll go for the jugular. I try to be cool. I try to be nice, but don't take it too far, So, like, leave me alone. And I remember a girl that I went to school with, she was like, she was in the group. She's like, I didn't know Calithia was like this. And then I think she went to another person and she was like, Calithia. And my friend was like, yeah, you just didn't know her like that. Like, she wasn't playing with folks, she just probably stayed in her crew or whatever. And then I wasn't really one of those people that was in with the in crowd, right? So I was cool with them, but I ain't really, want to hang with them all like that. I'm just me, because I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm a person, I'm genuine. I'm just going to be myself, and you either take it or you leave it, Josh said, I just, it was very, very entertaining. Yeah, I'm sure. Cause I'm like, I done got kicked out of groups, they be like, all right, you doing too much. You gotta go, but it's okay. Misha, yes. Bosses who are bullies. Yes, we see it all the time, baby. You can even see somebody who was not a boss and then they got promoted and now all of a sudden they're a bully, right? I mean, they probably already had it in them, but you give somebody just a little bit of power, they feel like they got a little bit of power over you, then all of a sudden the bullying starts and the harassment starts and it gets out of. So anytime I see something where they say, this guy came on the work site and he had these problems, and I'm like, yep. And he just lunched out and he went crazy and he ended up hurting people. Well, guess what? What did y'all do about the bullying? Then you find out it was all of these things, and like racism plays a big, huge part for a lot of us African-American Black folks. We see it all the time, and when you're a boy, you're like, you don't ever want to go to race all the time, especially if they're of a different race, but you're like, it makes you question, like, why are you treating me this way? What did I really, really do to you? I didn't do anything to you. So, why are we here? And then it's like, what other reason couldn't it be but my race. So what's going on, And you got to be very, very careful when when they're the main caretaker of their family and they have everything to lose and you over here on a power trip, because people will wait for you outside. They can know where you live, and things like that. And it's like with the bully, in the bully's mind, they're so into the power that they feel that they have. I don't even think that even crosses their mind that somebody gonna follow them home after work. I don't think that they look at it like that. I think they feel so powerful over you that doesn't even cross their mind that they can be touched because they feel untouched, Hey, Claudia. So Claudia says bullying is a form of jealousy and or power struggle. Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely. Definitely. Thanks for coming in, Claude. Like, yeah, that's what we've been talking about, like from childhood into adulthood. So now you may have some of these kids that were bullied and now they're an adult and now they got a little bit of power. So it's like, yeah, it's time for me to give some of this back, because I got treated like this as a kid, or, my parent was a bully to me. So I'm going to take it out on somebody else. Because sometimes, especially if the supervisor is married, we always be like, they must not be getting none at home, right? Or they going through menopause, or they man must, or they woman ain't get, that's like the first thing we think of, but I think it's bigger than that. Even at home, they might be getting bullied by that partner. They feel like they have no power at home. And the only place that they have power is at work, So Larissa said, sometimes you just got to lay hands, reach out and touch somebody. It was a guy in my Facebook group and we were, people will always instigate. So he was like, some things, sometimes people only understand violence. And I used to be like, boy, what are you talking about? But for real, some people only understand violence, right? And because like you keep playing with me, you keep on poking the bear, and then they'll turn around and play victim. Like, have y'all seen these videos? Y'all be here cracking up. But you see the person, they pick on the person, and they be doing the most of the person like, leave me alone, leave me alone. I told you, leave me alone, get off my face, blah, blah. And the person's still picking. And then or they might even hit the person and then they'll turn their back and walk. And then I think, what you think, just because you didn't hit me and you done walked away, I'm just going to let that fly? No. And then they go after the person and they jump on their back and, whatever, go down. And then all of a sudden, now, mind y'all, it's people around. Ain't nobody saying, hey, leave, her alone or leave him alone. You like, go mind your business. Go find. Nobody is saying anything. And then when the person that's fed up and is being bullied gets up and starts wailing, then it's like, no, they want to come pull the person off. Nah, let that person that was picking, let the bully get it, because that's the only way they're going to understand. That's the only way that they're going to understand. And no one is promoting volunteer, but I am promoting, right, being protective of yourself and defending yourself, because you cannot, and that's what we tell our kids, you can't allow somebody to keep on coming, and you don't cry. Like I told Rome, these kids bullying, don't you dare cry, because he's a boy, and my girls, that middle child of mine, yeah, she wasn't having that. She definitely wasn't having it. And I think, their other sister, their older sister, I think them two, and probably another sister, because it's 6, 7 of them. But yeah, definitely Paris and Precious was definitely the ones that would be ready to go. Yeah, Claudia, yeah, they finally snapped. And it's like, it's only, so much the person can take, day in, day out. And especially, like I said, on the job and things like that. So have you guys, so Misha already said on her job, Claudia and I actually worked together. And so we did have a bully. We probably had a couple of bullies, if we want to be honest. And every day it was just always something. It was always a smart comment. It was always just something, And so Claudia left. And she was tired of it. And I think, I don't even know if this day, I don't even know if the girl even said anything to her, and she was just on her way out. But Claudia came to the front, and she was like, "You know what? You ain't nothing but a this, and that." Woo! Yeah, that was Tyson. I wanted to give a Latina Tyson right there because she was like, "What?" And the girl's face was just like, like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "Yes, yes," you know. Well, but being where we were employed at the time, that was probably as far as it could go because we were trying to get locked up. But yeah, they were definitely bullies in there. And you know, for me, I was just like, oh, I can see everybody else can do A, B, and C, but when I do it, it's a problem. Okay, you know, so it's that type of stuff. But I did want to talk about also about y'all know my boo T.I. Y'all know for years, those who have known me, T.I. is the love of my life. T.I., if you're watching this, I love you. So, you know, my man just, you know, chilling. He's talking about doing verses with 50 Cent. And 50 is a guy who has made a lot of, you know, good business moves, right? He has, you know, shows out everybody watch, Power Book, Power, and all that other stuff, right? He's a great actor. I'm not going to take anything away from him as far as his talent, right? I'm not going to talk about his talent. Claudia, don't be rolling your eyes when I talk about T.I. don't do it. Don't do it. So, because I had to speak out to defend what's mine, right? So, yeah. So he comes out and says some wild stuff, and he's posting a picture, an unflattering picture of Tiny. People playing in our face, talking about why is everybody mad? All you did was post a picture. Come on. You beefing with somebody, you know good and well, you don't want anybody posting nobody, you know, that you love's picture, especially that picture of Tiny. You know, we knew it was a hot mess picture, right? Why are you posting a picture? You know, you're trying to be funny, right? So this is where we get into the online bullying stuff. You know, people posting things, even like, you know, people that you were, you know, prior in a relationship with, and you guys break up. And so now all of a sudden they want to post stuff on social media about you, right? But yeah, so 50 decides to post this picture. Now, if you don't want to do the verses, just say, look, man, I'm not trying to do the verses. I got other things going on, you know. But me, yes, 50 is very disrespectful and he's a huge bully. But the thing about it is, like, this dude been through some stuff in life. Like, he could have lost his probably from doing the same thing he's doing now, and he survived, but he ain't learned. Like, some people don't learn. And then one day, and then there's so many people who praise money. Money is great, right? It's good to have your bills paid and you don't have to worry about whatever, right? However, just because you have money, does not mean that he should just be praised because he has money and he's rich. I think character has a lot to do with it. And I'm not saying that T.I. is perfect or, you know, whatever, because, you know, there's been some things that has gone down with him and Tiny, you know, but that's married folks' business, right? Even though they're in the spotlight. However, but just to go out and intentionally pick on somebody. And the beef was between, shouldn't even been a beef, but his issue was between him and T.I., right? 50 and T.I. So why are you bringing Tiny in this? Why are you talking about her? And so I see people in comments as I was looking and debating this online, and they were like, oh, when we're beefing, no one's off limits, this, that, and other. So it's like there's definitely whatever code it was back in the day, the code is gone. But one thing was, if you talk about my mama, then we're going to have a problem. And that's pretty much, especially if people love their mamas, you're not going to talk about their mom, period. And so King came out, T.I.'s son King, our troubled child. T.I. comes out, King comes out to defend his mother. And so he goes after 50's mom, who's deceased. So this is the type of thing I'm talking about. Like, I guess he felt like he was coming after Tiny to get at Ti, not realizing that Tiny has kids and those kids love their mom. So they're going to step up and they're going to defend their mom, period. They're going to come in because you're not going to talk about my mom. And baby, them kids, listen, we already know that Ti is so smart and intelligent. That he's a good rapper. He's good with words, okay? He's Mr. Dictionary. So why wouldn't his kids be? And so King came out, and then I want to say the other kid's name is Damani. Damani came out with his. Oh my gosh, Miss Jackson. I don't know what King's was because I didn't really. It was cool, but Damani's was fire. I was like, oh snap, you know. And that's not even Tiny is not even his mother, right? But that's his bonus mom. And so he came out like, no, we're not going to do this, you know? And so T.I. came out because he's a good character in class and was like, you know, I like that they stood up and that they defended, you know, Tiny. But I did not like that they talked about, you know, 50's mom because she's deceased. Okay, I get that. You know what I mean? But they're young and they're still learning. But 50 is what? I don't even know how old 50 is. Like, you're too old for this. And excuse me, guys. And 50 had the nerve. Hold on. Let me get some water. Woo. 50 must send somebody to have me start coughing. Hold on. Because he didn't want me talking this fire. So 50 does this same stuff to his own people who work for him. I think it was Little Meech he was talking about. I think he was talking about Natiri. Is that how you say her name? Her edges, you know, from wearing weaves or wig or whatever. On there talking about, you know, her. And I'm like, dude, like, these people work for you. Like, why are you bullying them? They making you money. That's the thing. They're making you money. And so I sat back and I looked and I was like, every time I see him beefing, it's with Black people, people who look like him. I don't see him going after any other race the way he goes after us. I don't see him going after people from Israel. You know, I don't see him going after anybody else but the people who looks like him. And then I see us in the comments cheering it. And I'm like, what is this bullying culture? Like, y'all think that this is okay? Y'all think that this is funny until something happened. And then when something happened, they try to say somebody's sensitive. Oh, it never should have went that far. But nobody stopped it. If anything, y'all be egging on stuff. Y'all love to see it. Like, it's entertaining, you know? And I remember I was in this Facebook group and this girl, like she would just keep stalking my comments. She just coming for me. And I'm like, yo, back up and leave me alone. Cause see, by the time I didn't say back up, I already got in my mind what I'm about to do. So I'm giving you a warning, you know, to back up. So y'all, I want to say this is probably in my 30s. Not saying that I was a mature time, but this was some years ago, right? And so she kept coming for me. So what I noticed about her was she was a thicker chick, right? And she had no neck, right? So it was just like head and shoulders, right? But she would wear these spandex, and I think she thought because she wore the spandex, it made her cute, and that it said Gucci on it, so it made her, you know, that chick, and so that she felt like comfortable to keep coming after me. And so I said, you know what? I said she looked like an action figure. She looked just like He-Man, you know, from back in the day, which, by the way, He-Man is coming out with a movie. I think it's He-Man and She-Ra, and I'm going to be so there to watch it. But anyway, she was coming from y'all. And so I was like, all right, bet. So I took a picture of her. This to me was not online bullying. This was me responding to your online bullying. Okay. So I went ahead and there was a picture of He-Man. And then I cropped a picture out of her in this spandex thing, looking like a freaking Power Ranger, a chunky Power Ranger. And I put it side by side and I posted it in the groups that we were in. And I'm telling you, these groups had hundreds of people in that group. And it was like, it took off. Like to this day, they still be like, you remember when you posted that picture of such and such, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, she asked for it. I told her, back up, leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mess with nobody who don't mess with me. You know, so if I already got it, if everybody got something that somebody can talk about, right? Because everybody has flaws, everybody has imperfections, right? So people can come talk about it. That's why I don't really bother nobody. I kind of just stay in my space. I don't bully anybody. You know, I don't want no smoke. You know, because I mean, people could talk about me, but I always do one thing that people try to do. They would try to talk about me being fat. I'm fat, but I was still cute, fat or not. You know, you want to talk about I wear weaves. You know, like so. Oh, you wear weaves. You wear makeup. Okay, like is this what you got? You know, whatever, and I'm gonna keep doing it. And every time you probably see me, I probably have a different wig on or different whatever. You know, I got it in school with having braces. I have braces, and then like I said, braces, jerry curl, and glasses. Everything was glistening. My eyes, you know, from the glasses. My braces was shiny. My hair, you know, and people wanted to come for me, you know, and that's fine, you know. But with me, you know, I took a lot up to a point, and then once I get to that point and I'm ready to snap, your best bet is to back off and leave me alone because it's not going to be pretty. Because I'm one of those, if I fight, I'm not even thinking no more, you know. And I remember, now me and this guy, we're cool now, but he kept messing with me, you know. He kept messing with me in junior high, and he came, y'all, and he mushed me, like took my head. You know how they used to do that crap. They slap you in the back of the neck, and then they would mush you in your forehead, you know, that type of stuff. And this particular day, y'all, I was done. I was done with it. I'm like, oh, no more. So he comes and he mushed me, y'all. I got up and that was all she wrote. I just started swinging, and everybody was like, I beat him. I don't even remember because my mind snapped because it was held in for so long, and I was tired of him keep messing with me to where I snapped, and then I didn't know what I was doing. And so from that point, I was like, I don't like how it feels when I'm this enraged and I'm fighting, because I feel like I could possibly be one of those people because of my rage, and I take it too far and I pick up something or I do something and you know, lands me in jail, you know. So I don't like to get to that point. So Claudia said, girl, some guy told me to go eat more Big Macs when I was bigger. I replied, I sure will. As a matter of fact, I'll still be eating them. I mean, like, it's always a fat thing. Every time, you know, I swear, if it wasn't for fat people, I feel like bullies wouldn't have nothing to freaking talk about. That's all they want to talk about. They want to talk about fat people. They want to talk about gay people. Like anybody that's different than the normal, what they feel like is normal, they got something to say about it, you know, and harass people, you know. So, you know, but every dog has his day. I know that 50 ended up removing a lot of the stuff because he even went after Tina Knowles. Now, listen, that's B's mom. So you mess with the Beehive. And all she did was post a picture of Tiny saying that she loved. Now, listen, Tiny has never done nothing to anybody. She may have some bad, in some people's opinions, right? Bad surgery. But so what? She's not out here being drama filled, hurting anybody. So it's just like y'all just want to target her and talk about her just based off how she look, you know? And so it's like, it's just messed up, you know? So I guess everything is kind of calming down. He took everybody offline and he posted something about a movie or something he's coming out, you know, with, I guess, to say, hey, you know, I got the bag, you know? Yes, Claudia, when you get that mad, you black out. You just full of rage. You know, you just full of rage. So I thought about that guy recently on 495 out here in Virginia the other day. Now that was not bullying, I don't think. That was road rage, and I feel like it's something in people's mind that snap on the road. Now I know I don't consider myself a road rager, but some of my friends. One ain't on here right now. Every time I talk to her, she done got into it with somebody. And I'd be like, you got to get your road rage under control. But that guy, he took it too far. And he ended up losing his life. He ended up taking a life. Like, it's ridiculous that rage. But I feel like, you know, when stuff get built up in you from being bullied, like, it's a chance of you like finally snapping like that, and you just don't care what happens. Because that dude that day on that road, he didn't give a care. He snapped. I don't even know why he snapped. He probably never should have been on the street in the first place, and then he had to be a government worker. So I don't know if it was the government stuff, the up and downs, and being laid off and furloughed. Like, I don't know, because you definitely don't know what's be going on in people's lives, you know, to make them snap. But bullying, like, people just literally come after you because you look different and you mind your business, and they just want to bother you, you know. Keisha said, I didn't know why fat is funny. Serena says, same with me in high school. One of the football players arrested me and made me walk away from my bully. I snapped on. Yeah, you know, but I feel like they want to see that reaction. So it's like, you try not to give them what they're looking for. And so you like, you know what, I'm just going to be cool. I'm not going to, you know, give them what they're looking for, because they like a reaction. A lot of them like a reaction. And I even feel like some of these bosses, they do stuff and they just wait to see. They just wait to look, and they do something and they're waiting to see how you're going to react. And they get joy out of that. They get joy out of how you're going to react, and they get joy of feeling like they have that power over you, you know. So, yeah, Risha, you know, BBWs, listen, when I was extra skinny, I got dudes. When I was fat, got dudes. I got them because you're going to get them, you're going to get them, you know. And I don't care what they be seeing online. I have been in BBW groups on Facebook, and these dudes, and it's not a fetish. Women, I know a lot of women who are big girls who are married, okay, who are married and have kids and have men that love them and who are not ashamed of them. So I always tell people, like, don't even let that type of stuff get in your head, you know. And it's a whole thing of bigger people have low self-esteem and all this other stuff. And I'm like, nah, well, don't even let that get into your head that that's what it is, and that's why the guy wants him. Because, you know, yeah, there are people who will try to take advantage of you and use you because they think that you're bigger. And then, you know, even just being on like dating sites, this is something I'll probably get into this topic later on about dating and meeting people online. But yeah, you'll get people that try to come at you and they're fetishizing you because of your size, and that's just what they want. But being an adult, right? You should know what to pick up on so you don't fall into that, you know. Larisha said, hello, it's me. So Larisha is saying that she's a woman of the thicker size and she's married. Yes. Yeah. And it isn't true, Misha. It isn't. And that's a stereotype that has gone on, you know, for a long time. And everybody thinks, oh, because somebody looks like Precious from the show Precious. Oh my God. That movie was one of those movies I can only watch one time. Good gracious, it was heartbreaking. But, you know, everybody, you know, isn't like that. But I think that back to 50 and T.I., I think that some people who are promoting his movies and giving him money was like, look, dude, you got to stop this petty stuff. Like, you're making, it's all about the brand. You're making our brand look bad because you're doing this childish stuff. And nothing he does, like, I'll be 50 next year, and like nothing that he does is comical to me. And then sometimes I look, like I said, at these comments, and I'm seeing who's saying what, especially if they're on my Facebook page and I see their posts. Y'all just like him. Y'all just like him. And I wouldn't doubt that your kids are like you, and that your kids get it from you, and then that their kids also get it from you. And those kids are the ones that are in school getting in trouble, or the ones just getting, you know, bullying other kids. And then as soon as something happened, you don't understand how it got this far. You understand exactly how it got that far because you did it. I had a woman telling a story how she had to go down to a school, you know, with one of her grandkids, and they're sitting in there with the principal and the mother of the other kid. And she was like, she wanted to like lay hands on this other lady, this other parent. And she's sitting here like, is this for real right now? You know, is Is this really what's going on? And you see why the kids act like that. Like anytime you see some stuff on TV where the kids wilding out at the mall or they doing it, it's very seldom, and y'all excuse me, these braces is all in the way. Do you get people who are totally shocked, right? You know, people always say, "Not my kid would never," but those people know exactly how their kids are. Y'all know exactly how your kids are, and they're just like you. And you probably just don't care. You don't care until somebody snaps and does something to your kid. They just had some kids that robbed this old lady. They were robbing her, and then she happened to have a pew pew. And now they're like, "Oh, she went too far." But why were they out here robbing people? Y'all just didn't anticipate this old lady having this weapon. Like, but how are you raising your kids at home? You know, because now you're trying to say, "Oh, she went too far," but you knew what your kids was doing. You knew what they were capable of, and now here they are unalive because you ain't teach them at home. There's some people that you're going to go out here and you're going to pick on, may have something for you, may have some fire for you, right? So, I don't know why this bullying still exists in adulthood, because you feel like you're supposed to grow up and you're supposed to mature and be a different person. But it doesn't happen. You know, people are still doing it, and they're going to keep doing it until they get knocked between the washer and the dryer, right? Is that the right saying? I won't say it, until violence happens. And that's when they'll learn. Even like these people, like in this political climate, and I may not get into a lot of politics on my shows, but stop messing with people, and I'm in DC. And so like sometimes I take the metro and certain tourists come into town and they're looking, and they look like they're ready to get some stuff started. And we notice it, but we're like, you're not even going to trigger us into acting out that way. And we keep on going, because some of us, we got jobs, we got livelihood, that we're not going to let your foolishness get in the way. And these other ones is out here blatantly saying racial slurs and stuff like that, looking for attention. Y'all going to get the right one. And y'all going to get somebody who has nothing to lose, or who does have something to lose, but they don't give a care, and they go ahead and give you what you want. So the adult bullying stuff has to stop. It really does. It's really ridiculous. I get tired of seeing grown men stepping to women if women don't want to give them their phone number. And you're going to bully her into giving the phone number? And this kind of may go into a dating show later. Like, women, we feel so unsafe. Like, I had a guy, following me at the metro, like, and I picked up on it because I pay attention to my surroundings, and I always tell my kids, like, pay attention to your surroundings, and he was trying to follow me. And so I went around a corner or whatever, like behind this pillar, and I just stood there and I was like this. And he came around and he looked me right in the face and was like, and so he was following me. Now, he may have thought that he was trying to follow me to, come holler at me or something like that, but you were acting like such a creep. Like, I'm like, shoot, I'm like, what I got on me? You know what I mean? So it's a protected thing. Like, nobody has time for these bullyings and people following them and being creeps. So y'all gonna end up rolling up on somebody who got something, and just because it's a woman, you think she's weak, you might be in for a huge surprise. And then I think, just leave people alone. And people have a difficult time doing that. So, it'd be the ones, I'm telling you, like, it's just too much. We're in a different climate, right? People then lost jobs. People then lost their families. Like, every other day you find, some people are on the edge. So, like, leave people alone, because you don't know how it's going to turn out for you. So, I did want to address that I think that we should probably ask, and I'm going to see about it, because I do want to know what's going on in these PTA meetings. And I honestly have not gone to PTA. I don't know. Do you guys go? Like, I want to know, and I'm going to have a show talking about the school system and stuff like that, because I do want to hear what some of them have to say about this bullying thing. Like, what are they doing in the schools to stop the bullying? You know, are you taking the kids out of one class for the school? Like, what are y'all doing? I know y'all have these little police officers in there and all this other stuff, but some of them are the freaking bullies. Like, I had a parent, he was like, yeah, my son went to the school and this and that, and I had to go up there after the freaking officer to kept messing with him in the hallway. And I'm like, what? You know, so I do want to know, like, or speak to someone in the school system and like, what are y'all doing in here? Like, what is the protocol? Like, how do we get this stuff to change? You know, because it's not working. And it's too many kids that have been seen, um, you know, unaliving themselves, I should say, because of bullying. And it ain't gonna be mine. It's not gonna be mine because I don't want them to ever feel like I don't got their back, you know, or I'm not there to protect them. Or they feel so alone that they're so tired of it. They do this, you know. And I know it was like a young guy, he was gay, and somebody got into his phone and exposed him. The next thing you know, he took his life. Like, it's like, why? Like, why? You know, like, leave people alone. And I understand it, you know. So Claudia says nothing from what she's seen. One kid messes it up and they blame all the kids. Yeah, like, it got to be something else that has to be done, you know. And I just feel like, yeah, it won't be mine. Whatever it takes is not gonna be mine. Like, to this day, I'm still so angry that I wasn't able to get to that little boy, and they protected him from me, you know, or her dad being able to talk to his parents, because the fact that he felt so bold to do that in front of people, and then they had somebody recording it. They did get the recording and deleted it, but like, seriously, you know, and these kids were way older than her. You know, they did this. So a kid, wow. Claudia said they made an ice joke in the presence of her daughter and she didn't know what to say. Yeah. First of all, she's American, but we know why it was said, because, you know, she's Latina, you know, so it's like, they're going around singing that day going, Vanilla Ice, Ice Baby, when they see Hispanic people. Ice, Ice Baby. You know, they're posting us as monkeys online, which is something, Black people as monkeys. I mean, this is something that they have always done. But when you have a certain person who's the head of everything and they do it, then people get comfortable and they feel protected and they feel like they can go out here and do it to other people, you know. And so when you have somebody that's being a main bully, they're little mini bullies. They're people who are just like them and think like them, even the ones who look like me, right? And they act just like them. I had to, like, I took some off of, I have a few Facebook pages, so I took some of them because I got tired of seeing their stuff every day. They coming on here, talk about him, and I'm like, and they bullying people based off their opinions, or they just trying to antagonize, and I'm like, they just like him. So birds of a feather flock together, and like, I don't even have time for that. So, and then like, I don't even like, I feel like I've gotten older, where when I was younger, I would debate all the time and go hard and defend, and now I'm just kind of like, because it's maturity, unlike 50, and just be like, you know what, I only got time for it. Think what you want, do whatever you want. I don't give a care no more. You know, people passing away before they even get to 50. And you think I'm 50 as what I'm saying as far as age. You think I'm gonna be sitting up here wasting time, you know, with you. But as long as you keep your hands off me or don't, you know, leave my kids alone, you know, we're good. So, but I'm going to wrap this up. I thank you, ladies, for your support, and then definitely coming in here, you know, sharing these stories. I'm definitely praying for our kids in these schools, because we have ICE running up in schools. We have so much stuff going on in schools, and it's so hard for the kids, and nobody, I feel like, really cares about, outside of the parents, right, how these things are affecting the kids, you know. And so something has to happen. So Claudia says, I had to coach her, meaning her daughter, on what to say, but a response that wouldn't be offensive, but to bring attention to what they actually said. Told her to ask them to repeat what you just said and don't think I heard you right, and see if they say it a second time. And then turn into mini Claudia Tyson. No, I'm kidding. Woo! say I'm like my mom, I got something for you. It's like, no, not promoting violence once again. But yeah, just like leave people alone. Leave people alone. But this Saturday, y'all, I'm going to actually have a special podcast that I'm doing Saturday at 8:00. If you guys want to tune in, I know it's the weekend, but this was a time that these two gentlemen were available. So I told them, yeah, we could do something on Saturday. And so I have one guy who is dealing with colorectal cancer. And actually this month is colorectal. I love you too, Claudia. Is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And then the other guy, he's dealing with prostate cancer. So these are very, very two different cancers. However, these are both men that's going through it. And I definitely want to hear their stories. Of course, I had my own cancer journey that I dealt with, but it was very, very different from what the men are dealing with, treatment-wise and feelings-wise. I mean, outside of fear, concern, and that type of stuff, it definitely differs. So they're going to be on here to share their story. So I'll remind you guys, if you're not doing anything, either way, it'll be on the YouTube channel and it'll still be on our Facebook. So if you miss it and you're not able to participate, you'll be able to. But I definitely, for my married ladies that came on, it might be something that your sons are interested in. My younger cousins, they don't have you guys doing this, but I think at 45 or 40, they start having you do colorectal cancer screenings. And so I'm one that has to get that. It's really not fun. Okay. But it's necessary. So I will have the guys want to set up some promos, some pictures, and some little blurbs about the guys. And so if you guys are here, I would love to see you guys on Saturday. It's still going to be 8:00. So come check us out. Come check us out. We can hear these stories and get some education and then learn how to look out for things for ourselves. So thank you guys. Well, thank you ladies, I should say. And I'll see you guys next Saturday and also next week. So talk to you later. Oh, and before I go, I just want to give a shout out to Rome's dad. Today was his birthday. He would have been 24 years old had he still been here. And we miss him every day. And a large part of me definitely feels like jealousy and then some bullying is why he's not here, And you just got to really be careful who you think are your friends, who aren't your friends, and jealousy and all that other stuff. But again, that's a different show. So I'm going to go ahead and end this, and I'll see you guys. Happy birthday, Daniel, and you guys have a good night.